Hey everyone, thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm Justine and this is State of Grace Tarot, and today I wanted to give just a brief introduction or an update on my plans for the next year or so, because I am planning on doing a Decan Walk this year. A Decan Walk is really about taking a journey through the tarot and walking through the year, and it's a way of measuring time. In this video, I plan on going over what a Decan is, how it's associated with the tarot, and what a Decan Walk entails, and how I plan on doing a Decan Walk and incorporating the Decans into my journey throughout the tarot this year. The idea and inspiration for this journey is largely inspired by Marlene and Teresa. She's done a Decan Walk herself and has filmed a ton of videos on it and has provided a ton of great resources. I'll link her information down in the details below, because she's definitely kind of my go-to for the journey. Basically, she has a lot of great ideas. If you want to get some spreads, she's created spreads for each of the Decans, which are really great. And there's also so many other tarot tubers on YouTube that have documented their Decan walks and their journeys and how they've incorporated that into their daily lives, as well as instructional and study videos on each of the cards throughout the Decans. Another one of the main resources is T. Susan Chang's 36 Secrets, a book that she wrote about her journey through the Decans, which is a great resource. I plan on using that in my own journey on my Kindle. I kind of wish I had bought it in a physical book, and I may still do that, but for now electronic is the way we're going, and that's how I'm going to use it. It's really great because on my phone I have the Kindle app and I can just flip through it if I'm out and about or wherever. I don't have to carry this big book with me. So what the heck is a Decan? I think everybody's probably somewhat familiar with the 12 zodiac signs. And if you don't know, each of the zodiac signs are split up into 3 parts, or 3 Decans, that roughly last about 10 days or 10 degrees. So for Aries, you'll have Aries 1, 2, and 3, and so on. Each Decan is associated with its own planetary ruler, in addition to the planetary ruler of that astrological sign. So it adds a little bit more nuance as you move throughout the astrological sign for each of the Decans. One thing that I knew as I was researching and coming across Decans, I really struggled with, well, how did they come up with the way that the Decans and the planets were associated with each Decan? Like, how did that relationship happen, and what was the logic behind it? Because if I can figure out the logic behind it, maybe I can understand it a little bit better. And I'll tell you how I've come to understand it. The planetary association has to do with the 7 traditional planets, and the way they are measured or lined up is in an order, and it goes from the fastest moving planet to the slowest to fastest, fastest to slowest, slowest to fastest. So the farther out planets to the closer planets, as I understand it. So we start, and now I have all my cards all mixed up. So we start with Saturn, and then it's Jupiter, and then Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. And that's the speed at which, I guess, they move around us, or how we thought. This is also known as the descending framework, which is what the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn used in their associations when they associated the tarot to the Decans. And that's what I'll be basing my Decan Walk on as well. Each zodiac sign is traditionally associated with a planet of its own, and that planet is the planet that is associated with their first decan. So take Aries, for example. It's associated with Mars as its primary ruling planet, and so Mars is the first planet associated with the first decan, And then we have Aries 2, which is ruled by the Sun, and Aries 3, which is ruled by Venus. As we move through the sign of Taurus, after Venus, we have Mercury. And so Mercury is the planetary ruler of Taurus 1. And then you have the Moon, and then Saturn. Hopefully that's clear as mud. One of the great things and the beautiful things is that each of the 12 zodiac signs are associated with 12 of the major arcana, and the 7 planets are associated with 7 of the major arcana. Now, how in the world do we get to the minor arcana being associated with each decan? And when we're talking about the minor arcana, we're really talking about cards 2 through 10, because the ace of each of the suits is associated with it holds every astrological sign. So take the suit of wands, for example. That's the suit of fire. So that all the fire signs are held in the ace. To look at how the minor arcana signs are associated with each of the decans, we need to look at how each zodiac sign is either cardinal, fixed, or mutable, and also a bit of numerology. Because for each of the minor arcana, you're moving from 2 through 10, or really ace through 10. It's a journey through that suit or that element. So the 2, 3, and 4 are associated with the cardinal signs. Cardinal signs are associated with initiation, new beginnings, taking action. So it makes sense that these signs are also associated with cards 2, 3, and 4 of each suit, because that's the beginning phase in each of the elements. So the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, will have cards 2, 3, and 4 associated with their decans in their decan 1, 2, and 3. Crystal clear, right? Fixed signs are known for their focus, their dedication, their stability. So to me, this makes sense that cards 5, 6, and 7 are associated with the fixed signs in astrology, which are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Mutable signs are known for their flexibility, their adaptability, and their transitioning between phases. And this makes sense to me because cards 8, 9, and 10 are about really fulfilling the energy of that card. You're almost to the end of the journey. In the 10th card, you're realizing it and you're moving on. So it makes sense that each of the mutable signs are associated with 8, 9, and 10. So Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Now that we have a minor arcana card associated with each of the decans, and each decan has a major arcana card associated to it, as well as the major arcana that is associated with that zodiac sign, for each minor arcana card, we have 2 major arcana cards that correspond to each decan. And these are all laid out on a decan wheel. a wheel that goes throughout the year. I can't show you one because it's on my phone. I don't have one printed out. I probably need to do that, but I like using my phone for a lot of things, and having my Decan wheel on my phone, it makes it easy to reference, just not when I'm doing a video also using my phone. So now that we've kind of gone over what a Decan is, what a Decan walk is sitting in observance of how time moves through each of these energies, and using it to kind of measure time and how that relates back to your own personal life. Or at least that's how I'm going to use it. I've come to think of myself as kind of a lifelong learner, and what I'm going to use the Decan Walk for this year, or what I intend to use it for this year, is to give me kind of a structure to deepen my understanding and further my knowledge in the tarot and how it relates to astrology and the zodiac specifically. I don't know how deep I'll get with the astrology portion of it, but I do like that there's that layer in there. Maybe I'll explore how other things are associated, like the deities that are associated with each of the zodiac signs, and that regard. It kind of gives me a jumping off point to further explore other things, but with the primary focus of learning the tarot, learning the correspondences to the other cards in the tarot and how they're all associated with astrology. I just want it to further deepen my practice. I plan on doing probably like a deep dive study for each of the minor arcana cards, maybe also the associated majors as I go through the Decan Walk. And there are a couple of other things that I'm thinking about doing. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to show up specifically, like on my YouTube channel. I know there's a lot of resources out there of like walking through each Decan and how the energies are changing out. I may post some videos like that. I'm not sure at this point. I'm thinking that it might just be more of a look back and a reflection on how those energies showed up and how I worked with those energies. I don't know if it'll be every 10 days. I'm trying to give myself a little bit of flexibility on how I present it out into the world. I also want to work with the tarot a little bit more creatively. I've done it here and there, but it has not been consistent. So I'm thinking, this Decan Walk framework will help me in that regard, whether it's writing some poetry or writing a story or doing some drawing or painting. Whatever the flavor of the Decan is, I think is what I will do. And I do have some resources that I'll go over in a second that I am planning on using as part of my Decan Walk, and one of them specifically relates to the creativity portion of it. So the tarot deck that I'm planning on using is my Centennial Smith-Waite deck. And one of the things that I did with this was I used Lisa Popez's book, Unlocking the Tarot, to unlock the deck. And I wrote on my keyword for each of the cards. But one thing I also did was for each of the cards, I wrote the astrological correspondence to each of the cards. So for the Fool, we have Risk, and we have Air and Neptune? Uranus? See, I don't even know. But luckily, I have my handy dandy little chart that I made in my Uranus. I was right the first time. So for Aries, one, yes, I have the keywords. I have the Mars in Aries down here on the card, but I also have, oh, this is backwards. Okay. I have Aries 1, March 21st through March 30th. And I put that over there. I didn't think it would take me out of reading the cards too much. I can look for it if I need it. But I plan on using this deck as well as a, I've been showing these cards, but I may use these. I also have another astrological oracle deck that is on its way that I will probably be leaning towards using a little bit more. But my main tools will be a learning deck. I'm going to use traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. I'm not going to use any of my other tarot decks for this portion of the journey. Maybe some of the creative stuff, I'll pull out some of my other artsy decks that kind of bring out that feeling in me a little bit more. But for the learning and the integration, I'm going to be using my unlocked Rider-Waite-Smith deck. A couple of other decks other than T. Susan Chang's 36 Secrets. I'm planning on using this Jackie Hope's Healing Burnout with astrology and tarot. This is also a journey through the decans of the zodiac, and this is really great. It kind of goes over some like senses, what you may be feeling with the energy, and some exercises, reflections, meditations, affirmations. It has some card spreads, some readings you can do. I might be using some, but one thing I'm also really excited about and how I'm really going to use the tarot to tap into my creativity a little bit more is this Tarot for Creativity book. And this book's really great because it gives you creative prompts that you don't have to, it gives you 4 creative prompts for every card. It also gives you a spread for every card and kind of a description as well for every card. So this will be something that I will be using, maybe not for every decan, because doing an art project every 10 days is a bit much. But some of the creative prompts are journaling as I've looked through this, you know, journaling, writing a letter, creating a piece of art. So things that are very approachable and adaptable that I do think I'll be able to do something every 10 days. It seems like a lot, but I'm going to try. For me, this walk is going to be for learning. There might be some spiritual path working as well. I'm not certain. But I think, you know, as you fine tune and develop, that kind of comes a little bit naturally, especially as I use the tarot for a lot of self-growth and reflection. I definitely want to use this more for learning. I mean, I do consider myself a baby tarot reader to some extent. I mean, I have been dabbling in the tarot off and on since 2016, but I really haven't committed and been disciplined and focused on learning the tarot and integrating into my day-to-day life more than about 4 months at this point. I think today was literally my 120th day based on my little journal app that it told me. It was like, you're on a 120-day streak. So new to consistently reading tarot, and this Decan Walk will help give me a framework to keep that going. I'd love to hear from you on how you all are going to do your Decan Walk, or maybe you're not doing a Decan Walk, but what intentions have you set for the year? How are you deepening your tarot practice? If you even are, maybe you're like, I'm good, I'm done. This journey for me will be one for learning, and I think it'll be a great resource for me personally to look back on and see where I was. That's a large part of why I am doing these YouTube videos, and then maybe someone somewhere will stumble across my channel and see that tarot is approachable. You can start from the beginning and work from there. It may feel clunky at first, but there's so many tools and resources and people willing to share information and provide their own insights that it's really a great community to be a part of. So let me know in the comments below if you're doing a Decan Walk, and how you are seeing that play out in your tarot practice. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you all will enjoy my videos on this series, hopefully coming up. I will see you again soon.